podcast series where African American and Jewish teens get together to talk about their lives and issues they care about, to learn about each other's backgrounds and cultures, and to build new friendships.
This episode is about representations and perceptions. How are Jews and African Americans portrayed in the media, and how do those portrayals affect what other people think about Jews and African Americans?
I'm Isaac. I'm a freshman, and I go by he, him.
My name's Camila. I'm a freshman, and I go by she, her. What are some of the stereotypes of Jews and African Americans that you see in movies, TVs, and books?
I see a lot of racism and stereotypes about a lot of gangsters, a lot of black people being gangsters and doing drugs and stuff like that, having guns, weapons, fighting a lot. They're just described as more violent or not as positive as you see some other races being talked about.
Definitely. I also see Jewish people being portrayed as very greedy people, and people that like to take advantage of people, try to they put their greed over other things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
How do those stereotypes affect how people perceive Jews and African Americans in real life?
I think that stereotypes are the basis of what people base first impressions on. You see somebody, you don't base them on their personality. You base them on how they look like.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of preconceived notions about black people, and Jews. I see a lot of things on media that's if you leave money somewhere, it'll be stolen by a black person or a Jewish person even. And a lot of things about black people stealing cars, being bad influences in general. And especially now, I think it's only gotten worse.
What are some examples of movies, books, or TV shows that you know of that perpetuate stereotypes?
I think a good one is both All-American and I think it was called Snowfall, something like that. And All-American is about a black football player who is portrayed as having a lot of gangster black friends and going through that type of life about drugs, violence, stuff like that. And I don't think it's totally accurate for everybody. I know it's not about everybody, but I don't think it's the best way to portray people. And Snowfall, I think is a lot of the same things about a drug empire, stuff like that, and a black guy basically selling drugs. He's violent. Just don't think it's a good reputation.
I don't really watch a lot of movies about those topics. My mom tends to enjoy watching more upbeat and more comedic movies rather than kind of more serious ones. So I don't really watch a lot of movies about real life, or not real life, people being filmed. I don't know how to say it, but
are there examples of that give you a more realistic and balanced depiction of Jews and African Americans?
I think that Fiddler on the Roof is a good example of a good movie. I think that although it's a very good portrayal of Jewish people, it's very accurate. I think that there should be a more modern version. I think it would be better to have a more modern version, because Fiddler on the Roof was set in a time period that was decades ago, and so it'd be nicer to have a film that was a little bit more modern.
I agree with that. I do think there should be more modern and accurate depictions of Jewish people and African Americans. I think it could definitely be better.
Yeah. Isaac, you are Jewish and African American. Camila, you are Jewish and Latina. How often do you see yourself reflected in how Jews and African Americans are depicted in the media?
I see us we're as an African American, we are reflected a lot in the media. There are I've seen a lot of TikToks, racist ones, non-racist ones, saying African Americans are what's the word? Violent, thieves, just a lot of stuff like that I think kind of drags down our reputation, and there are videos that are twisted to specifically make us look bad and not give the full story of what happened. Like I saw a video that was a black guy robbing a car, which is what it looked like, but turns out it was his car. He forgot his keys, and he just didn't give the full story. Didn't accurately describe us.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way for like Latino and Latina people, because I think we're also portrayed as like the bad students, the people who like are always off skipping school and doing drugs. And I think like there's good and bad people in every single culture and every single race. Like it's just who's portrayed, how they're portrayed in the media just kind of twists the way that people see them.
Mm-hmm. Some schools are trying to do a better job introducing literature that comes from different cultures. Do you think it's getting better? What would you like to be changed?
I think that like every year I've had a book about like the Holocaust. So last year we read Sunflower, and this year we read Night. So I think that like teachers are trying to like get more about different cultures into like literature. But I think it's better than it was a couple like years ago. So.
At my school, we read Night for about, I think it was a week. We had a little test on it. It wasn't that hard, but I enjoyed reading about it. I wanted to learn more about what happened. And recently we finished a book called Never Fall Down. It was about a kid named Arn, and he was in the Cambodian-Vietnam War. He was stuck in the middle of that, where the Khmer Rouge came and enslaved the Cambodian people, made them work on rice farms. I think that was a good thing to read about, good thing to know what happened and how Americans took action against that, because it really informed me about what happened there, and I liked reading about it a lot.
I think at least the schools I've been in, like we haven't actually read a lot about like different cultures. Like they only actually try to like give us books about like the Holocaust, but like I haven't actually read like a book like the one you have about like an event, like an historical event that took place from like a person's perspective who actually like lived through that, like other than the Holocaust, of course. Mm-hmm. But like I don't really read a lot about other people's cultures.
For me, it's been kind of the opposite. Night was the only book that we read that was about the Holocaust, and we've read a lot of books about African American people, like especially when I was younger, we would read a lot about Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, a lot of famous African American people. And I think it has something more to do with the fact that I switched a lot of different schools when I was younger, and went to a lot of mainly African American schools. I think that was more what they were geared towards.
Yeah. Do you take honors or non-honors classes?
I take honors American Gov. Yeah.
Do you see like a lot of African American people taking like the course?
In my class, in my honors American Gov class, I don't have anyone else that is African American or a different race besides just white. And I don't know how to feel about that, because it's like our school is, I guess, poor country. We don't have many African American students, but I definitely don't think it's that hard of a class, and I think more people could take it.
Yeah, I agree.
What about you? Do you take any honors?
I take all honors, except for bio. I'm not too good at science, but they are trying this new thing now, like at my school, where they got rid of like our Algebra 2 non-honors, so everybody was then put into honors, because I think like some parents were complaining about like the different people who took non-honors compared to honors classes, and that like non-honors shouldn't be a thing. Everybody should like be able to take a more challenging course. But
I definitely think it's kind of easier if you start in an honors class, because you don't really know what a normal or non-honors class is like. So it just gets you on that mindset that, oh, this is regular, this is normal.
Right.
I think that's really helped me so far.
Yeah.
Unless it was algebra. I couldn't do that. Yeah. Well, you actually, no. Freshmen can't take AP classes.
I'm going to try to take some next year, but
Yeah, same. I'm going to try and take AP Ancient World History. It seemed like a pretty fun class, so I can learn more about stuff. Yeah. I was told not to take AP World History, though.
History is like my hardest class. I
like learning more about history. It's like, it's fun to know more about what happened and what could happen.
What are you learning about right now in history?
Right now, since I just take honors gov, and I don't have an official history class yet, it's just about our government. So I think that African American people are only learned about, in at least my school, through like slavery. We don't really know much about, or haven't learned about, many of the accomplishments of Black and African American people. We've more learned about what has happened to them, the bad side of history, and nothing really of what they've done for science, anything like that, which I would like to know more about. I want to learn more about famous African American people who have contributed to things we use now. Like, I forgot what it was. I think it was a Kevin Hart show. I learned that, I think it was a African American person made like potato chips or something. Yeah, which was, I didn't know that, so that was good information to have. I would like to learn more about that, though. Would be something interesting to learn more.
I agree. Yeah. And I think my school, we like at least have read a lot of books about the Holocaust, but I also agree, like, it doesn't show the full picture of who Jews are, because it only focuses on like one part of our history, and it doesn't talk about our culture. It's like not like what actually goes on in our normal life. It's like this one main event, and then we don't like talk at all about like the normal person's life, not just some like the Holocaust related. Mm-hmm. So
we only learned at the Holocaust, about the Black people, not the Black people, the Jews that were already in the camps, and not much about what happened before they were taken to the camps. We only learned about like the death, and nothing about what they actually had to do, what was like going on kind of behind the scenes. Which is something that if I could, I would learn more about, but as I said, we don't really learn much about the Holocaust. We kind of learn about like a lot of white people's accomplishments, what they've done, which could be better.
Yeah, and I think like something like Fiddler on the Roof, except like in book form, you know? I think that'd be something that I would like to read. Because Fiddler on the Roof is more of a like representation, a story of like the average person's life as a Jewish person.
Which is not really that different when compared to anybody else, non-Jewish, non-African American, African American. And I think that's just nice to have. Like, it just shows that we're not that different. Nobody's really different from one another when you just take into account a normal person, normal civilian.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
I have a friend she's Latina. Everyone just assumes that she's really smart, gets good grades. They don't really understand like what happens behind that. She does get good grades, but I know her personally. She works for those grades. She does stay up quite a lot for those grades. And I have many other friends like that. Like, I have an Indian friend who everyone automatically just assumes he's going to become a doctor. He's going to be really smart, successful. He works a lot. He can't come play a lot of times because he has to work. He has to do homework. He does a lot of stuff. He's not, I know him personally, he's being pressured a little bit to do more work by people assuming that he's smart. And I do feel bad that that's a thing that's happening. It's like a stereotype with a lot of different races. Like, I've seen people just assume that African Americans are not smart because they're African American, when I've seen some really intelligent African Americans. I have very smart African American friends, and oftentimes that's just how it is, and I would like to change that.
Because people shouldn't have to work hard to prove that other people wrong about them. Like, you should just, everybody does like what they do and just not get judged about it.
Mm-hmm. I think there's the opposite of that, where if people don't work as hard, they're not seen as smart. That's our own stereotype. But if they work too hard and they're seen as smart, that's another stereotype. So it's like, is there any way to be average? It's either you're too smart and you work too hard and you're stereotyped because, oh, she's Latina, she works too hard, and she's smart, and oh, she's Latina, she's dumb, can't do stuff. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
This is The Talk. I'm Camila.
I'm Isaac.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.